The Farmer of Liddesdale. There was in Liddesdale, in Morven, a farmer who suffered great loss within the space of 1 year. In the first place, his wife and children died, and shortly after their death the ploughman left him. The hiring markets were then over, and there was no way of getting another ploughman in place of the one that left. When spring came, his neighbors began ploughing, but he had not a man to hold the plough, and he knew not what he should do. The time was passing, and he was therefore losing patience. At last he said to himself in a fit of passion that he would engage the first man that came his way, whoever he should be. Shortly after that, a man came to the house. The farmer met him at the door and asked him whither he was going or what he was seeking. He answered that he was a ploughman and that he wanted an engagement. "I want a ploughman, and if we agree about the wages, I will engage thee. What dost thou ask from this day to the day when the crop will be gathered in?" "Only as much of the corn when it shall be dry as I can carry with me in one burden withe." "Thou shalt get that," said the farmer, and they agreed. Next morning the farmer went out with the ploughman, and showed him the fields which he had to plough. Before they returned, the ploughman went to the wood, and having cut 3 stakes, came back with them and placed one of them at the head of each one of the fields. After he had done that, he said to the farmer, "I will do the work now alone, and the ploughing need no longer give thee anxiety." Having said this, he went home and remained idle all that day. The next day came, but he remained idle as on the day before. After he had spent a good while in that manner, the farmer said to him that it was time for him to begin work now, because the spring was passing away, and the neighbors had half their work finished. He replied, "Oh, our land is not ready yet." "How dost thou think that?" "Oh, I know it by the stakes." If the delay of the ploughman made the farmer wonder, this answer made him wonder more. He resolved that he would keep his eye on him, and see what he was doing. The farmer rose early the next morning, and saw the ploughman going to the first field. When he reached the field, he pulled the stake at its end out of the ground, and put it to his nose. He shook his head and put the stake back in the ground. He then left the first field and went to the rest. He tried the stakes, shook his head, and returned home. In the dusk he went out the second time to the fields, tried the stakes, shook his head, and after putting them again in the ground, went home. Next morning he went out to the fields the third time. When he reached the first stake, he pulled it out of the ground and put it to his nose as he did on the foregoing days. But no sooner had he done that than he threw the stake from him and stretched away for the houses with all his might. He got the horses, the withe, and the plough, and when he reached the end of the first field with them, he thrust the plough into the ground and cried, "My horses and my leather traces and mettlesome lads, the earth is coming up." He then began ploughing, kept at it all day at a terrible rate, and before the sun went down that night there was not a palm breadth of the 3 fields which he had not ploughed, sowed, and harrowed. When the farmer saw this, he was exceedingly well pleased, for he had his work finished as soon as his neighbors. The ploughman was quick and ready to do everything that he was told, and so he and the farmer agreed well until the harvest came. But on a certain day, when the reaping was over, the farmer said to him that he thought the corn was dry enough for putting in. The ploughman tried a sheaf or 2 and answered that it was not dry yet. But shortly after that day, he said that it was now ready. "If it is," said the farmer, "we better begin putting it in." "We will not until I get my share out of it first," said the ploughman. He then went off to the wood, and in a short time returned, having in his hand a withe, scraped and twisted. He stretched the withe on the field, and began to put the corn in it. He continued putting sheaf after sheaf in the withe until he had taken almost all the sheaves that were on the field. The farmer asked of him what he meant. "Thou didst promise me as wages as much corn as I could carry with me in one burden withe, and here I have it now," said the ploughman, as he was shutting the withe. The farmer saw that he would be ruined by the ploughman, and therefore said, "'Twas in the mart I sowed, 'twas in the mart I baked, 'twas in the mart I harrowed. Thou who hast..." Wah! Who was that? Why 3993 what 3s and 9s? Why? Thank you for the follow. You startled me. Because I usually have my headphones plugged in, and so that was louder than planned. Hopefully it wasn't an echo. It probably would have been an echo because it would have come through on the microphone. I'll put that put the headphones plugged in so that it doesn't come through the microphone. It's okay. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you got my attention. It was exciting. I was like a paragraph away from being done, so I'm just gonna keep going and then I'll come back to you. 'Twas in the mart I sowed, 'twas in the mart I baked, 'twas in the mart I harrowed. Thou who hast ordained the 3 marts, let not my share go in one burden withe. Instantly the withe broke, and it made a loud report, which echo answered from every rock far and near. Then the corn spread over the field, and the ploughman went away in a white mist in the skies, and was seen no more. Okay, cool. Hello, YY. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for the follow and the adrenaline. And don't worry about it. So what I do usually, if you haven't been here before, I read stories and I stop periodically to talk about plot or character development or writing style or really like whatever jumps out at me. What jumps out at me at this one is partially that like it ends with the farmer's not really any better because he like the corn is spread out over the field. That means he can't like harvest it. So he's basically lost an entire harvest. Unless he goes and like hand picks everything. I don't know. I feel like sometimes you can find a moral in the story and sometimes it's really just a story. I thought what I thought was going to happen was that it was going to be like a lesson in patience of like you have to wait. He put the sticks in the ground and he was waiting until they smelled just right or whatever it was, where the farmer was worried about like not keeping up with what his neighbors were doing. So I thought that was the direction like where the moral was going to come from, but it seems like that's not really what happened. It's more of just like this like supernatural sort of plowman guy was gonna like take him for everything he had, and the farmer was like no, and he like said a poem and then the guy disappeared. It's weird ending. No one ends up happy. Yeah, like I guess I was reading it as like one of the YouTube channels that I follow is called Cornstar Farms, Cole the Cornstar. CORN. He's a corn farmer in Iowa. And it's really fascinating to watch like their process of harvest and their process of like planting and everything. And it's a very industrial like situation. And so when they harvest, the corn is automatically separated from the cob. And so that was what I was picturing, is that it was just a whole bunch of kernels that this plowman is basically putting into a bag of holding to like trick the farmer into taking more than he should. And so when it breaks, I'm imagining all these like little corn kernels spreading out over the field. But if it's like the whole cob, maybe the farmer can still like gather it and have an actual harvest for that year or something. I don't know, because maybe it's not like taken off the cob right away. But it was just the one field, right? So he probably still had 2 fields left. I don't know. There's not really a moral to this one. It's just like be careful who you hire, I guess, is like the weird part. But it wasn't like through any fault of the farmer that he didn't have a plowman. Like the plowman just left, and so he had to get another one, and it was outside of the hiring season, so he was just like, it's like not any fault of his own. He was just like bad place, bad time type situation. But the plowman didn't get paid at all for his work. No, because he tried to like trick the farmer out of out of his share, basically, I guess. But he also went away in a white mist in the skies, so he's obviously not human either. So I don't know. Do we care about people who are not human getting fair wages? I don't know. And it sounds like almost like a spell or something, that the farmer like said this sort of poem thing and broke, and like a spell broke the what I in my head it's a bag of holding, like just broke the thing that all the corn was in. Yeah, I don't know. This one I think is just a story. Like you have to just read it as a story.
Hi there. Thanks for joining our book club. If you'd like to join the conversation, I would love it if you would leave us a comment. And if you'd like to see more, check out the playlist.